We all know the situation. We talk with someone, speak the same language, but don't understand what the person means. No matter if the person is a native speaker or not, if the person has an accent or not, we simply seem not to connect. There are always cultural differences in using languages. Every society has different ways of communicating. One might praise being consistent, meaning you do what you say and live by the consequences. Not saying what you mean in a direct way is perceived as dishonest, confusing, and ineffective. The other one might experience directness as rude and inappropriate. The first goal of communication is always to be understood, not only the language, but its meaning and intention. Let me talk about English and how to speak English in a way that is understandable in international settings. If you work and live in a setting where people speak English as an additional language, and following the Ethnologue 2019, 898.4 million people speak English as second language, maybe also as additional language, whereas only 369.7 million speak it as first language. I say only because we know that there are more Mandarin Chinese first language speakers and Spanish native speakers worldwide. Some of these non-native English speakers speak it up to a nearly native level of fluency, which means that they almost copy the English style, whether it be the British, US, Australian, Scottish, Irish, Canadian, and may even sound like native speakers and learn the sociolect in order not to stand out when working internationally. An article from the BBC states that native English speakers are the world's worst communicators, and this is honestly no surprise. When everyone speaks your language, you immediately assume they use it your way, and you make little to no effort to communicate effectively. It is about the many meanings a word can have, that not everyone is following the same news you do, read the same papers you do, not everyone is interested and informed about rugby and local events, and therefore doesn't get the cultural references you include in what you're saying. Here are 7 tips to speak international English. In order to bridge the gap and avoid misunderstandings, I recommend English native speakers to tune your language into the situation, a meeting, a speech, conference, or simple conversation. First, explain abbreviations. When you use abbreviations, explain what it stands for in a clear, understandable, and respectful way. It happened to me many times that I had to ask to clarify, and I got comments like, "You should know this," or "Everyone else knows this," or even "You can find it on our website." This is really not helping and quite rude, I would say. Be aware that some people would not ask openly like I did, and you may lose the attention of everyone else in the room and miss the chance to create rapport. Second, articulate clearly. Unusual words, speed of talking, and mumbling make people disconnect. What native speakers consider a normal pace and a normal articulation can be too fast, too slow, not clearly understandable for others, not only non-native speakers, believe me. Avoid to rush and fill gaps in the conversation. Wait a heartbeat and give people the chance to process what you said, and if expected, to formulate questions or replies in their own pace. 3. Simpler is better. Many non-native English speakers are concerned about not losing face and will nod approvingly even if they would rather disapprove. If you can communicate efficiently with limited, simple language, you save time, avoid misinterpretation, and you don't have errors in communication. You need to be short, clear, and direct, and you need to simplify. Simplifying doesn't mean that you assume the other person is not fluent enough in your language. It is about using shorter sentences, repetitions if needed, and using an intonation that is clear and understandable to people from different cultural and linguistic backgrounds. Is it clear that you are asking a question, or is it a statement? Let me make an example with "I read that book." I read that book, not Anna. I can also say "I read that book." I didn't listen to it on Audible. I read that book, not the other one. I read that book. I didn't opt for the podcast about it. You hear the difference? Fourth, tune in. When communicating with a group of people with diverse cultural and linguistic backgrounds and varying levels of fluency, it is important to be receptive and adaptable, tuning your ears into a whole range of different ways of using English. Fifth, Explain your point from different angles. Illustrate your point from different angles and ask for acknowledgement and reaction. Ask probing questions, not "is this clear?" Ask questions about your content, like "what would you consider important in the 5 steps I just mentioned?" This way you can find out where people need more explanation, you can make sure your statement has been understood, and if not, where you have to add something. 6th, is this from you? If you're sincere when stating or saying something and it is your opinion or a quote, make sure to clearly mention it. Many people tend to hide behind quotes that they assume others would recognize as such, only to find out that the other people's words are taken as their statement. This can lead to major misunderstandings and loss of trust. 7th, summarize. An easy way to make sure your message is understood is to summarize it. Don't feel offended if someone asks for clarification. It is not meant personally. Offer others the opportunity to ask more specific questions, and please avoid sarcastic comment and judgments if they do. For example, "I said it several times" implies that the other person didn't listen. "I thought I'm clear enough" makes the person asking feel disrespectful. And "I am not going to answer this here" truly makes the person feel like she wasted her time with you. And if you are an English native speaker and find this too much of an effort, you always have the option to speak the other person's language.